hour-long sessions on anything you guys want to zoom in on. But really, like when talking about GoTab, it's not about what GoTab does that everyone else also does. It's about what GoTab does that no one else does. So, with point of sale, we all have buttons, we all take money, we can all, send an order to a kitchen, do all of those things. GoTab has a lot more of a robust offering and kind of a higher value proposition. We kind of pack a lot in to the base platform. We do have some add-on features, and we're adding more and more of those every day, actually. But for intents and purposes of today, the three things to really worry about are the kitchen display, the point of sale, and the customer UI, which is what you can see on my screen. We'll talk about back office stuff too, but just spend a few minutes on each thing. So GoTab encourages, well, let me back up for a second. GoTab has the ability to satisfy everything from a cafe that just needs to take a transaction all the way up to a full service, high touch resort with multiple outlets and multiple concepts that needs walleting capabilities. So our niche really becomes interesting when we start getting complicated operations. Someplace that might be, trying to keep labor costs low while giving a high quality of service. Somebody who wants to add e-com, somebody who wants to add mobile ordering, somebody who has multiple outlets and would like a singular dashboard to manage multiple outlets or multiple locations. Food halls is a really good spot for us. We actually have a food hall in Florida. I want to say it's in Orlando or Jacksonville, though, called Revolving Kitchens. And we have stuff all over Florida, really. But we really, the thing that GoTab is good at is complex operations. So the more complicated an operation becomes, the more interesting GoTab can become along with it, for a lot of compelling reasons. So for demonstration purposes, I will show off just the point of sale and the customer UI and the kitchen display. I'm going to focus probably a lot on the kitchen display because it's a lot more than just a digital printer, which is what a lot of kitchen displays are. It does a lot more than just show tickets and have a countdown timer. But before that, does anybody have any initial questions that they want to ask before I get started?
I'm good.
Sounds like I'm not. Okay. All right. So I've already got a tab open here on my customer side. And this is a good place to start. So some things you can see here is it's very easy to navigate. This is in a native browser. I'm running this in Chrome. We don't require an app to do any of this. This tab I actually sent to myself by starting here on the point of sale. So this is a really interesting thing that GoTab can do that no one else really does. So I can actually start a tab here on the point of sale for a customer. And as I'm authorizing their credit card and pre-authorizing that tab, I can also send it to them via SMS message. They get a link, they click the link, and they end up on an ordering page like this. So this is a good value proposition in, like here in the Bay Area where I live, there's a lot of places that you might start at the counter and then you'll go sit down. And if you want to order another drink, there's I'm very specifically thinking of this beer garden down the street from me that's a GoTab customer. Or is now a GoTab customer. Originally, you would order and you could open up a tab and they would hold on to your credit card and you would go sit outside. And every time you wanted a beer, you would have to get up and come back inside and order it. Or maybe somebody might be wandering around, bussing tables that you could order from. So in a situation like that, the value that we can add with the easy tab flow is we get the tab on the customer's device. They can go sit down without the need of a QR code or any kind of location. They can just place orders. They'll whisk through to a display system. In the cases of beers, it shows up at the bar. And when I bump the order out on the kitchen display, the customer can get a text that their order is ready. Or if we wanted to provide, a slightly higher level of service, they can check in to a QR code on the table, move the tab to that table, and we can find them now and drop their drinks off to them. So the ordering process, pretty straightforward. You can see here on the tab side, Taylor already has a tab open, so we'll just work inside the confines of this tab. And that's the same tab I'm looking at here. So if I want to order something, we have full color photos for food. You can see on this particular view, we have some information exposed. Looks like somebody has added a 30-minute delay to this particular menu, which I'll show you when we get over here to the kitchen display. We've also, on a couple of items, just to show that we can do it, have exposed some dietary information like dairy or gluten-free or CLC, etc. Those are all coming from, we call these Go tags, and they are just basically searchable hashtags for intents and purposes. And they allow us to do a lot of things with items on the menu. One is we can make them searchable and filterable The second one is we can apply rules to them, which I'll touch back on when we get to the back office. But if I'm searching for something specific like kosher or halal, spicy, kid-friendly, you decide what this term is. It doesn't matter to me. I just start selecting the things that are important to me, and the menu filters itself down to those items. So we make it really easy, especially in those larger, more complex situations like a food hall where you might have 20 vendors, each serving 5, 10, 15 items, and you have dozens or 100 choices. We can filter it down to just the stuff you care about. And then place the order, pretty simply. So I'm just going to add a couple things arbitrarily to my cart. We'll get the mac and cheese, and I'll get a salad because I can see it. I'll grab a couple drinks too. So over here on the beverage side, you can see a slightly different menu display. This is the thumbnail and description. So we give that optionality for the operator. If they don't want to necessarily have photos on a menu, possibly you don't need pictures of beers or you don't need pictures of certain things, we can give them that optionality. We also can make some pre-selections, and this is really more important on the server side than on the customer side. But in a brewery or any place where there's multiple size choices, we can always give that pre-selected option, whether it's medium or pint or whatever. It's an arbitrary selection. But if that's the most popular thing, we can assume that most people are going to buy that, and just kind of saves time and gives us that one-tap order functionality, which again is more important on the server side, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So I got a couple items in my cart. In this particular demo environment, coursing is turned on, and particularly customer-facing coursing is turned on. I don't know. I feel like there's probably no one that really uses this feature, but there's a couple of situations where it can be interesting and compelling, and that can be like tapas places or dim sum or any kind of like small play where people might be ordering a lot of something and they don't want it all coming out at once. So we can actually use some technology to decide how items come out by hitting that course items. And we can actually set these to, no course, appetizer, entree, salad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Since I have an open tab and I've already done this once, it's not letting me. I can start a new tab if anybody wants to see it, but I don't think it's that important in the grand scheme of things. Also, I already have this tab open, so it's not. Actually, you know what? Let me just back myself up. I'm going to actually close this one and start a new one so you guys can see the whole thing from the get-go. I think that'll be way more beneficial. Oop. Card failed because there's no money on it. Let's see if it'll let me do it on this side. Yeah, okay. Just going to use a card that works. What you just saw happen was our insufficient funds protection, making sure that I can't make a payment with a card that doesn't have balance. Which I will talk about more in a second. Okay, so now starting from the beginning, let me just grab a couple more, just redo my cart real quick. That, and we'll get that. And we'll get a drink. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show off, not necessarily the order notes. This is an optionality. You can have anything or nothing here. Doesn't really matter. There's also this type insert mod for people that want that. Most people actually opt out of that. What I want to show, though, is the insufficient funds and the open tab functionality. So in this situation, I'm opening up a tab. As a customer, maybe I scanned a QR code. That's how I got there. And you can see that there's $24.31 of goods in my cart, including taxes and fees. And my cart is being authorized for $29 because we're adding, in this scenario, a 22% default tip to that. And what we're doing here is we're authorizing the card for that amount to ensure that the funds are there. And then as we order more, the card will re-verify, GoTab will re-verify, I should say, that the funds are available on the account. Long story short, I can't walk into your location, scan a QR code, enter in a 16-digit Visa gift card with $10 on it, run up a $200 bill, and then screw you out of all of that. So we're ensuring that we can't defeat the system through mobile ordering and mobile payments. And that works on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over the card that I know is not going to work. And I'm going to place my order. And now this tab is open and it will remain open until it's closed. This is another advantage to using GoTab is we're allowing this mobile ordering functionality without ordering and paying every single time. So, bottom line comes down for the operator. It's only one transaction fee. And then you have that open cart, and we remove that friction for customers to have to continually order and tip and pay on what they're doing. And this would work across a multi-vendor scenario too. So in a multi-vendor, this gets incredibly interesting because I can either go to a kiosk or use a QR code or whatever, and I can order from multiple vendors and pay a single time. So now multiple vendors can share those transaction costs among themselves. And on the back end, GoTab can do remittances and dispersals of revenue. And at the same time, we can remit CAMs and rent and gratuities back to landlords. It's a really robust system that we have in those kind of marketplaces. But sticking to kind of the standalone model, I'm going to place my order, open tab. That brings me to my tab page. The order whizzes through to the kitchen display. I can see what I have ordered. I can now also share this tab with people around me. And if anybody is interested, I'm actually going to go out to this part of it. And if anybody wants to scan that QR code and join my tab, Ken, if you wouldn't mind, just so we can show them what a multiple party looks like, a multiple person party. So basically what happens is that you can join my tab and I'm responsible for the bill, but we can also split it amongst ourselves. It's another optionality GoTab has for that semi-self-service scenario where you might have a server, taking care of a very large section and they're not dealing with payments. They're really just giving hospitality and the customer is on their own to make the payment and split their check and all that. So moving on from there, again, the server has total access to that check, on this tab screen. So I can see, we have a new tab open for Taylor. If I am a server, I can see any of my open checks. Taylor, the server, has nothing happening right now. So I have my checks, I have all the checks. So I have the ability to pick up and help out in a section that's not mine, or take care of a customer like Bill here who has not been helped by a server, or Rich who has not been helped by a server, or again, Taylor who has not been helped by a server. So we give that, there we go. I don't know if you guys saw that happen. But as Ken placed his order, it now pops up, hey, Kenneth.cruz has joined your tab. He has a beer. And when we're checking out, we actually have the ability to split down even to the item level. So if he, decided we're going to split this mac and cheese, we can do 50% of that. I'm going to buy his beer, whatever. So we can make those selections. I now have a new total. But if Ken doesn't pay his portion, as the original tab holder, I'm still responsible for the whole thing. So if we say we're going to split it and he doesn't pay, the operator still gets a closed check, with funds available. And then I just have to come after Ken to Venmo me what he owes me. Same thing on the server side. So operationally, GoTab has all the things that you'd expect. It has buttons, it takes money, it does all those things. We can split a check very simply. I actually like to show this because I think our visual interface for splitting is pretty cool. We can do it evenly by seat. If we're doing seat numbers, we can do even by infinity amount of people. So I have whatever, a $31 check split 33 ways. Everybody owes me $1. Maybe it doesn't let me do 30. As far as placing orders, whether it's at a stationary terminal or on one of our handhelds, which is not much to look at on a tiny screen, but it's kind of a nice, sleek, elegant solution. We have, everything you'd expect to see. It can open up a cash drawer. We can open up a check through a floor map. One unique thing about us is on a floor map, we can support multiple tabs like you see here. So if we have communal seating or areas where we're not necessarily caring about seat numbers or whatever it might be, or we know that we're splitting a check multiple ways from the get-go, we can start multiple orders on a single spot. This is one of the things that allows us to keep tabs open until they're closed. Placing an order, really straightforward. I'll just go to cruise through this. So again, in this scenario, this is like a brewery menu. We assume most people want a pint, so that's the default selection. If I'm going to change that, I can just come in, make a change to it. I can change the course, I can change the seat number, all of those features. We're just trying to keep things efficient here. So if we know what people are going to select, I think a better example is like over here on the wings. We're assuming, or we know as, through sales reporting that most people buy medium and barbecue sauce. So we just pre-selected those condiments. If they want something different, I just come in and make the selection. It's pretty straightforward. You're also seeing another point of view to our rules engine and happy hour. So this is something that you can really talk to folks about. In most point of sale systems, if you want to have discounted items or multiple prices for an item, generally you have to create multiple SKUs for that item. In some systems you don't, most systems you do. So in GoTab, we've kind of eliminated that process where I can have a Sam Adams Just the Haze. I can have it at a happy hour price. I can have it at a banquet price. And maybe the happy hour price is at a discount, but the banquet price is at a markup. And those are all just based off of rules instead of having multiple SKUs. So on the reporting side, you get super clean data on the items that you sold, and then the adjustments are in the pricing structures. So we can actually view, how we did with banquets and happy hour and whatever it might be. You can also see that we have a delay again on these items, which I will get to right now as we're going over to the kitchen display. But does anybody have any questions about the point of sale at this point? I didn't think so. The last thing to show here before we move on is that for our mobile devices, we do have some notifications that we can build in. So for a server running a section that does have hybrid service or is utilizing QR codes, we can actually let them know that somebody in their section has opened up a check. So it's like the I've been sat notification. For managers, we can set in tab ratings. So if somebody does leave feedback and I want to know about everything that gets left, or maybe 3 stars and below or whatever, I can be notified immediately about that. Same thing for refund requests. This is probably the most useful notification on the list. If I'm MOD and I'm, I don't know, maybe I'm in the office or the storeroom or something and somebody needs a comp or a void, they'll just notify me. I can review it and I can do it from wherever I'm standing. They don't have to come and find me and make somebody wait, or, so in like smaller operations that don't necessarily have that command structure of like maybe a supervisor with those permissions, we can make it a little bit easier for folks. And that'll take me over to the kitchen display, which is really, in my opinion, the heart and soul of operations. So this is a lot more, as I said, than just a digital printer. This device actually has some intelligence baked into it. One of those things is those prep times. So we had some 5-minute prep time items that had 30 minutes added on to them. So we know that we have a 24-minute prep time on these items. And that's not dynamic, that's preset. So we've decided, we know that, sorry, let me actually remove the delay, start from the beginning. So now you can see these items are delayed, but now if I order, sign out and send back in. Now that it's updated, as I come back in, my appetizer menu will no longer, should no longer have the delay. What did I do? Oh, I need to select all. That's why. There we go. So now as I log back in, it'll show me that all my items are back on track. And I place a new order for these 2 items and send it through, and they're going to be on just the standard prep time. So now we've caught up, we've removed that delay. This little caret takes us over to what could be a training screen, could just be general information. You can see here I'm logged in as a manager, so I can set stock levels and 86 items directly from this device. It's not challenging me for a pen because we're in a demo environment. In the real world, it will challenge for a pen. Also from here, I can comp and void. So, the first person who knows we're out of something or need to void something is either the head bartender or the kitchen manager or the cook or whatever. So server runs in the kitchen, says, hey, sorry, I actually didn't mean to order bacon on the mac and cheese. I need to void that and put in another one. Sure, no problem. Grab it, void it, just that easy. We do have the comp and void reasons for that. And it's voided immediately. And it shows up on the customer check immediately as voided as well. Well, it should anyway. Oh, you know what? That's not the right check. I have to do it with this one. There you go. So instantly just voided on the customer's check. So there's no latency, there's no refreshing needed, any of that kind of stuff. This becomes way more compelling when we're talking about larger operations with multiple stations. So you have, your standard 3-headed giant with a kitchen, a pantry, a grill, a pantry, and a fryer station, and maybe they have their own screens. So we're now able to coordinate items across those. So if we bring in something long, like a 15-minute prep time with something that has a 5-minute prep time, we can actually hold that 5-minute prep time item like this mac and cheese until minute 10 when it's time to fire it. So there's like a lot of states of being. I won't zoom in and go down the rabbit holes of how this can be set up, but there's the optionality to print the whole ticket, have items just order fire when it's time to prep them, display an entire order and fire by making a noise and flashing orange until it's acknowledged. There's a lot of optionality there, from the simplest version where we're displaying all of our stations here, like I'm doing, to just being, a single cook with a single station who is interacting with their items and acknowledging them in this way, or just bumping out tickets like that. And then there's also the prep versus expo. I'm set up as an expo right now. Prep essentially loses the ability to communicate with customers and to control the ticket at large. They're only responsible for their portion of it, and they're just telling the expo that their portion is ready and is in the pass. Oh, I'm sorry, Nicole, I didn't see that you dropped off. Were you gone a while? I think we may have lost her.
No, I think.
Oh, you're looking for Nicole, or?
Well, I just saw that. I just noticed that somebody rejoined. I didn't notice that she had dropped off. Not sure if we're having technical difficulties or not. Well, I'll just keep moving. It's being recorded anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, Expo. So also from the Expo side, we have a deeper access into our products. So you saw me demonstrate that we can 86 and set stock levels on individual items just by clicking on them. We can do that with whole menus or even the entire venue from here. And that's all the way down into the modifier and option as well. But if we're gonna set a stock level on an item, I'll just take this Evil Genius. We thought we had 216. Somebody just fat fingered it. The actual number is 21. So now we have accurate numbers. We can also receive and lose. So this is a perpetual inventory. And then we do have the ability to add barcode scanning to items as well. So for venues that have, or food trucks that have retail items, we could put a barcode scanner in there and they can just run the barcode. It works for merch as well. We can read both of the major types of UPC. Lastly is the communication aspects of this. So when I bump these orders out, we've been getting text messages that our order is ready. So that's what text on fulfill is. And this could be for those casual venues where now we're eliminating the need for table flags, we're eliminating the need for pagers, because we could do it all through the customer's personal device. Okay, no problem. This is also, if you miss anything, Nicole, it's being recorded, so you can go back in on it. Yeah. So where was I? Oh yeah, two-way text communication. So the customer receives a text message that their order is ready and where to pick it up. Again, in a multi-operator scenario, it's very compelling because you can have one customer with orders at multiple vendors, and as they're ready, your order is ready at Taylor's Tacos and at Ken's Sando Shop and whatever. Come pick up your food. But more importantly, if we have a multi-operator scenario that is running food similar to, let's say, like one I can think of off the top of my head is Legacy Food Hall in Plano, Texas. They will actually run food to the table. So we can use that same notification on the server handheld for the food runner to come and grab it from the stations and drop it off. So there's a lot of coordination, a lot of like iceberg features where on the surface it looks very simple, but the system itself is coordinating and it's matching up orders and batching orders together as they come through. So we can have multiple people on multiple devices placing orders together. Like you can see here, Ken and I are in two different parts of the country, but GoTab knew to put our orders together because we're on the same tab or at the same spot. So it's a really good feature for mobile ordering, because the worst thing that can happen is that I order and then Ken ordered 3 or 4 minutes later. It looks like Nicole left again. And we have to hunt and peck for orders for the same spot. So we can eliminate that feature. And this is an arbitrarily set amount of time. So it can be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes. We don't care. Lastly, we have these communication features down here. You can do multiple check selections. I call this the last call button. We can actually send a group message out to all of these checks that we have numbers for. I can search for items or for tables or for servers if I need to communicate with tables or let somebody know that something is actually not available, or if I need to clarify something. We can initiate a two-way chat, and that can come from either the customer or from the venue. So if I needed to talk to Ken, maybe I didn't realize I was going to kick just the Hayes. So I'll just pull up this message. I'm going to, let Ken know, sorry, no Hayes. How about a Pilsner? And then I learned how to spell Pilsner. And then Ken will be able to respond to that text message. So really great for takeout orders or for pickup orders. We just did a demo yesterday for a food hall that's being built in the first floor of an apartment building, and they really want to leverage the folks in the building. So, all of these features come in really handy there. Of like, you can shoot an order down to the first floor. They let you know when it's ready, pop on the elevator, drop down and get it, making life super easy for everybody. There's also the bin over here. This is like an all-day count. So on my station, I can see, I have 15 bins to start. You're 86th, pal. That's so loud. So we have that optionality. And again, with GoTab, that can be turned on or turned off. So if folks don't want, and I can tell you as an operator, when I put GoTab into my first venue in 2020, I think it was day one, about minute 6, when somebody tried to get a free cider ranch or a free chicken breast on a salad or something like that. So a lot of people will opt out of using that two-way text communication feature, but it is there. And it's pretty useful for those larger venues. Any questions at this point before we go to back office? So like I said, I'm trying to keep this high level. There's a lot of things here that I'm sort of hurdling over just to get through a high level demo, but if anybody wants to zoom in.
I think you're doing a great job. This is really what I'm looking to see, just kind of how fluid it is, how user-friendly it is. So yeah, I think you're touching on all the main points here.
You actually bring up a good point, and user-friendly is the name of the game for us. Everything in GoTab is as simple as possible for the operator, for the customer. And because we're in the early adopter phase of technology like this, particularly the hybrid service model, making it complicated would really sour people on it. So we work very hard to keep it as easy as possible for everybody, because we want people to be encouraged to, receive a tab on their phone and go ahead and use the ordering and use the payments and all of that. But that being said, we can go on to the back office and just kind of blaze through this. So this is the dashboard. I've got it set up for a year's worth of sales. I want to show you guys something pretty cool, because this can be pretty compelling for your bean counters and your data nerds. A lot of systems will struggle with pulling large data sets. So this is a real location. This is the brewery our CEO owns and operates in Virginia. So this is real world data I'm looking at today. But some of our fiercest competitors, being Toast and Lightspeed, will struggle to pull a data set beyond 90 days. They can do it. I don't think Toast actually can go beyond 90 days. Lightspeed can, but it takes a long time. So going all the way back to August 2023, we pull it up to August 2024, and in like 2.5 or 3 seconds, I have an entire year's worth of sales data at my fingertips. My chart of accounts is here. This is from QuickBooks. It pulls in on a daily basis when we sync up. So we pull the chart of accounts in. That way we're reporting cleanly. All of our major categories have GL codes. The accountant is happy and not having to journal entry anything or transfer money around. Zones are effectively revenue centers. They're just a little bit more flexible than that. They can be any number of things. You can see here at Caboose, we have about 10, closer to a dozen. These are dining rooms. Employees have a zone, private events, curbside pickup, delivery, to go, whatever. Like I said, it's just a flexible point where you can capture sales, to look at differently. Or also with zones, we can apply specified menus, scheduling, the segmenting, and the rules engine can all be associated to zones as well. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. I won't spend a lot of time here talking about adjustments and payment types and all that kind of stuff. One thing I will point out, though, is the discounts and fees and adjustments. These are two different things. Adjustments are the comp-void discounts that humans do. Discounts and fees are coming out of our rules engine, which is where we will finish here in a minute. The last thing I want to show off is this interactive graph that we have. So I'm looking at a 365-day sales mix by hour for my venue. So this is the entire last year, showing me what's going on, basically minute by minute. But I can zoom in on just my slowest parts of the week, or maybe just a single day. So now I'm just looking at a mix of 52 Mondays across a year. And the interesting thing about Caboose is this data doesn't change all that much day to day to day. It's a pretty much a bridge and tunnel bar. You know, everybody's at work and then they're home by 8 o'clock and we're dead. That changes a little bit with us on Saturdays and Sundays. Obviously, we get that day drinking crowd, where Sundays are very, very good for us, and we drop off early. So it's pretty cool. We can also reorganize this and look at individual days. So now I want to look at just Mondays. Just Mondays across an entire year. So now I can look for, I can see about 26 of them, I guess, at this point. But, oh no, that's all of them. That's all of my Mondays. And we can just hover over and we can see what our sales for that day were. And you can see at Caboose, there's just no consistency to Mondays whatsoever. So nightmare for scheduling. And then I can also get my averages by hour just by selecting that and jumping back over, reset the parameters. And now it's just my averages for that day. And we can, again, do that in dollars and in items. If we're looking at a single day, there's one last thing to show here. If we're looking at a single day, I can also compare this up to the previous 3. So I get a full month of Tuesdays now for the going all the way back to the 23rd of July. Looks like that was actually the busiest day. On average, today's doing okay. So we have that information at our fingertips, if we're trying to write a schedule or shave those 15-minute increments, off of labor or whatever, that's just at your fingertips. And then last thing, just real quick, we have a product mix. I think everybody understands what product mixes are. We have a customizable drill down that can even include multiple locations for those multi-venue operators or for parent locations. So they can look at chart of accounts and locations and even organized by user. Mine is set up very simply, category, product, zone, option, which means we are looking at today, it looks like cafe drinks is our number 1 item sales, but our number 1 sales in dollars is, still cafe drinks. I zoom into cafe drinks. Looks like everybody was drinking coffee today. It was lattes. Most everybody sat on the main floor. Must have been cold or hot. Usually people sit outside. Drill down again, and I could look at optionality. So most people, looks like we're getting the majority of sales was oat milk lattes. So just on and on and on. Keep drilling down. Click in, click in, click in, and that can download as CSV or export to other back office management platforms. So I'm not going to waste time on the product catalog other than to show off GoTags one more time. These are, again, let's get off of Caboose. These are effectively searchable hashtags. So again, as I said, they make the menu searchable, but also we can apply rules to them. So this is where I finally get to the rules engine. And I think this is the most important thing that I can talk about with GoTab because it is very cool and really, for me, a game changer in a lot of situations of being able to use these rules to encourage and incentivize and get people to increase their spend rate, whether it's through discounts or coupons or even just adding fees, excuse me. And because of the flexibility of GoTab, we can apply those rules to specific items or specific zones or specific groups of people in a segment. We also have the memberships feature, which I'll touch on as I go through the rules. So happy hour is where I always start. This is the easiest thing to understand. And again, we don't have to have multiple SKUs for our happy hour beer. So I have 100% clean data. We identify items as beer. It's an unlimited amount, so there's no limit on how many times they can get this dollar discount. That dollar is applied to the individual item, and it will combine with another rule because we're allowing that in this situation. And because it is on a schedule, I can also change that schedule. We have a weekday schedule. We have a weekend schedule. It's a demo environment, so it's all day, every day. But the optionality here is that you can run specific discounts on specific days for specific items at specific times. Like that's how granular you can get. So if it was Mezcal Monday and we have a Mezcal cocktail and shots of Mezcal and like a beer and Mezcal Boilermaker, we can take those 4 specific items, call it the Mezcal Monday rule, and apply that to just Monday during, whatever, 3 to 5 and so on and so forth. So The rules engine really only limits by the creativity that you can put into it. So we can, you can see here these yellow bars, these are actual zones, dining room, patio, bar, etc. The blue bar is a group of people. So the military segment of people gets $10 off their tab, and they have to be sitting in the dining room, the patio, or the bar, or they can order a pickup order. And then I have this one really dumb rule that I built down at the bottom just to show how pedantic you can be. This one, if you spend $50 and are in our pizza membership segment and you buy one of the pizzas from the member deal, you will get one $25 discount applied across your entire check. It only works one time, and it has to be redeemed within 2 hours, and it doesn't work with other rules. So that's a crazy complicated rule that no real person would actually use, but it's something that you could actually accomplish with our rules engine. Any questions or comments about that before we wrap up? Sounds like it.
Still good here.
Okay. Just lastly, we do have the memberships feature, and this is everything from subscription memberships, as you can see here, $20 a month, 50% off all your coffee, to a punch card or points-based loyalty, with all of those being arbitrarily set. You know, a point could be worth whatever you want it to be worth, but a penny, $1, $10, doesn't matter. And then we can also aggregate third-party ordering from DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, and a lot of regional ones too. But we make sure we talk about the major three, and that's built right into the platform, so they can opt in or opt out of it. You know, to eliminate all those extra tablets on the countertops. I feel like that's pretty much all we need to talk about today. So.